Hello guys, warm welcome to one and all, and this is part 8 of web technologies, and in this we are been learning about HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So first of all, before I'm getting started with the today's session, let's discuss what we have learned in the last session first of all. So after that we will continue today's session, and today's session is pretty much important thing, because whenever you want to make alignments to your website or web pages, compulsory today's session is one of the first step into that. Okay, so first thing is, in last session what we have been learned. Okay, first before I'm talking about, we have learned about some kind of list concept, right? So list in the sense we have learned about order list, we have already learned about unordered list, both list also we have learned. And when it is comes to order list, it will be in different factor. When it is comes to unordered list, it is also different factor. For example, if I'm talking about order list, what is the basic use of order list is? Order list is one of the concept which gives you the number system for listings. Okay, like as I giving you number of list, let's say 4 or 5, based on that it is going to give you some numbering from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Okay, for example, if you go for unordered list, what will happen with unordered list is, unordered list is one of the concept which will not give you a number system. A default number system will not given to this. Instead of the default number system, it is going to give you a dot format. Even though if you have a 5 different list inside the unordered list, 5 different kind of dots will be available, 5 different kind of dots comes in that. Okay, so we can also make sure that we can have a different kind of order list with the help of a different kind of numbers. So let's say, for example, in order list we have an attribute called type. All right, type have a different type is one of the property which have a different values to it. For example, you want to give the number system from 1, or you want to give a number system from A or B or something like that, or whenever you want to give a number system from Roman numbers and all, that is one of the important factor which comes under order lists. Correct? So hope everyone is remembered that, and today's session is again pretty much important. What we just want to learn today is one of the major concept or one of the alignment concept in HTML first of all. Okay, let's see the screen once again. Today what we are trying to learn is, all right, so the basic aim of this particular session is display the data in structured format using HTML tables. All right, so let's see pretty simple thing what I just want to show you first of all, and then why we are learning this. Okay, for example, I'm trying to create a web page now. Let's say this is my web page. All right, within the web page, on the top of this web page, I want some kind of text has to be displayed. Let's see, here in this particular place I want to display some image. All right, so followed by I want to display some text here. Let's say, for example, you probably let's say you are trying to develop a website called let's say I'm taking a very simple example. My website name is let's say hospital management system. All right, so this is the website I'm creating here, right? First what I want to do is the text which has to come here, right? And also I want to display some image here, right, related to that particular hospital. I want to display image here. At the same time I want to display some text in this particular place, right? So what is going to happen right now is let's find out first what is this is all about and what is this is all about. Okay, let's first create simple website or web page with the help of, without creating any kind of applications. All right, so now what I do is I'm taking a simple example as one more example. Let's say, I hope everyone is remembered the basic structure of HTML, right? So you have a head part, and then you have a body part. All right, within the head tag, what I just want to give is, I want to give the name of this particular page as title, I just want to give the name as let's say probably I'm giving a name as alright, so index, alright, index of hospital management system. So what is my requirement? Let's see this requirement here. The requirement is pretty simple, that the first part of my top of the page has to display some text, and followed by I want to display some kind of image over there. Alright, so how do I do this? Okay, first, without for example, I don't know how to do the table format, because till now I have not learned anything about tables, right? What is the importance of this table? First of all, we find out that importance, then we can find here. Let's see, first what I want here, I want some text here. Let's say some bold color text I'm taking as h1 tag here, right? Alright, so this h1 tag I want to give a name as alright, I just want to give a name as hospital management system, and then followed by I want to give some image here, right? So image tag is basically identified with the tag name called img. Alright, so you need to give a couple of properties to it. One is source, second one is height. Alright, so then you can write some kind of width format. Alright, so first I need to give the source, right? So source, in a sense, I need to go to the place where my application is located, go to my desktop, right? On desktop I have created a folder here, and within this folder I have some image here, right? So just copy the name of that image, and you're gonna place here, right? You need to place here, I'm just placing here the same place where you want to show the image shot, right? Height I'm giving a somewhere around 250 pixels. Width also I'm giving 250 pixels. Yes. Now let me create this HTML document now. So how do I create it? Let's say C1, right? Extension of any HTML page is .html, as already everyone knows, right? So see that I'm writing the name of this HTML as c1.html. Alright, you can give any name, but extension supposed to be always .html. Alright, save this document. Alright, so open that particular folder where is your file, where the file is got created. Right click on this particular file and try to open with any browser what you installed in your machine. Okay, it takes a couple of seconds to deploy that page into a browser, then you can able to see the output here. Correct. See that what is the problem you are facing is, right? So first I'm getting the some text here, and followed by I'm getting some kind of image here, right? So for example, let me do one thing, let me do one more thing. I'm trying to write one more h1 tag. Alright, so this h1 tag is welcome to HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Alright, save this document, again refresh the browser. So where you are getting the text, again you are getting the text at the bottom of that particular image. Alright, so I do one thing, I'll place one more image here. I'm gonna place one more image, let's say probably same source I'm placing here, right? I'm just copying this particular source, right, with the same properties and all, but do one thing, I'll just increase the size here, let's say 450 pixels, and width is also 450 pixels. Okay, now you can go for file and save this document, and again go to browser and refresh it, right? So where you're getting that image, again you're getting the image below the text. Alright, so hope you understand what is it means, right? Nothing but a basic HTML application will not directly have any proper alignment. Am I very clear? See that basic HTML will not have any proper alignment. Okay, so first you need to understand here. Okay, nothing but if HTML directly will not have any alignment, such a way that we do have some kind of tags in HTML will use it for only process of alignment is. Am I very clear? So that's the reason today's session is pretty much important. Nothing but you don't have a proper alignment when you directly write a number of HTML elements into your body part. It just comes like one after the other one, right? It becomes pretty lengthy HTML document, even though that does not have a proper alignment also. Nothing but right side will have a spaces that will not be used anytime and all. So this will not be work it out, right? So that what people has done is people has created some kind of alignment process in that HTML. Okay, so how do I create it? What I just want to tell you is, if I create any alignment in HTML, first we do have a couple of tags to it, out of which we are learning today is one of the tag in widget. Alright, so what is the tag? What is the importance? Let's find out one by one. Okay. Alright, so hope you understand the problem. Now I am giving a solution to that particular problem. Alright, let's see that screen once again. The content in this particular presentation is display the data in structured format using HTML tables. Nothing but that is pretty much important here for today's session. How do I create a tables in HTML? How do I fix the data into it? How do I put the data into it so that it can be used in structured format? Am I very clear? See that, for example, I know how to write a HTML tables, but I don't know how to fit the data into it. That's pretty simple job. It's just a waste of time. So that what I just want to do is, instead of that, I'm going to create you simple problem. With that problem, I'm going to give you the solution to it. All right. The problem is this one. Let's look at here. The problem is this one. All right. The problem is, I'll take some part of HTML. Right, some part of HTML where I supposed to have one particular line. This line I am trying to divide into two different parts. First part has to display some text and second part has to display some image here. Okay, all right. So now let's see here. First of all, this is how your HTML document is. Okay, an HTML table is an element comprised of rows and columns. Pretty much important thing, please note it down. An HTML table is an element compressed with the help of rows and column. Nothing but it is going to display the text in this particular format. Alright, tables are container elements and their sole purpose is to house the HTML elements and arrange them in tabular format. Nothing but row by row and column by column. Hope you remember the horizontal lines are rows, the vertical lines are columns. I am repeating once again, the horizontal lines, this is horizontal line, right? This entire thing is horizontal line. This is also one of the entire horizontal line. This horizontal lines we supposed to call it as rows. The vertical lines, this is your vertical lines, right? This all vertical lines we supposed to call it as columns. So that's the reason any table format or table element is compressed with rows and columns. Please note it down. This is pretty much important thing. Unless until if you're not understood the basic thing, you can't able to go for the next. Alright, so what I just want to tell you right now is HTML is one of the element in entire HTML elements, which basically compressed with number of rows and number of columns. But you can increase that numbers, and all. Alright, and second thing is, the data which you want to put it in this, directly HTML tables will not have any data, and you need to put some more elements into that HTML document or HTML tables, so that that particular elements will be displayed in tabular format. Yes, I am very clear. Please guys, I am repeating once again, you need to understand very carefully here, right? The first important point is HTML table element is compressed, nothing but combination of different rows and different columns. First important point. And second important point is, if you want to insert some data into this particular format, First of all, you need to understand that this tabular format, this table element of HTML will not have any kind of elements into it. It just adds structure, it just give you a structure, that's it. It is not going to give you anything. Alright, along with that, whenever you trying to make sure that if you want to insert some data into it, you have to put some more elements into it. Then the elements in the tabular or the elements in table element will be displayed in tabular format, something like rows as well as in columns format. Okay, it's something like this. Please look at the screen once again. All right. Right, so now I'm just going to create a HTML tabular format. Right, how do I define this? Let's see that there are the three important tags you need to remember. The first important tag you need to remember is table. Table is going to define the table. First of all, within the table you want to define any number of rows. You need to identify it with a what I can call it as, you need to identify it with a tag name called tr, which has to work under only table format. Okay, and the next is td, stands for table data, which is also, for example, you have divided table into one row, you want to divide this row into multiple columns, then you need to go for a td format. Nothing but tb, decide the number of rows into cells, nothing but it is going to divide that particular problem, or it is going to divide a simple or single row into multiple cells here. Right, a data in cell can be a text, image, list, paragraph, form, horizontal rules and tables and etc. Nothing but you can put anything whatever you want in the td, nothing but table data format. Okay, so first thing is you need to remember one thing here. First of all, if you want to define the structure of a HTML element, that is table, then you need to identify it, or you need to remember table is one of the tag in it. Right, table open and close. Within that you want to divide the table into multiple rows, nothing but multiple horizontal lines, then you need to go for deciding that you need to use tr, table row format, nothing but that entire table is going to divide into multiple rows now, and followed by every row, if you want to divide into multiple columns, nothing but multiple vertical lines, then you need to go for deciding that particular table format in td, nothing but table data format is. Am I very clear? First of all, let's identify what is wherever we want to in this. Okay, let's look at the screen here. This is the entire, first of all I'm trying to go for, okay, let me clear everything. This is entire table, right? Within this it is entire table. How to identify this table now? With the help of table tag. Clear? Within the table, how many rows we have here? We have only single row. How to identify that row? With the help of tr. Okay, within this how many columns we have? Column number 1 and column number 2, nothing but how many columns we have here? That is something called td, nothing but you need to write one table, one row and two columns in your HTML doc. Right, very clear? With this requirement, what is the requirement we have? We have a requirement like this. Within this we need to have one table, and within that how many rows we have? We need to have one row. We need to have how many columns here? Two columns, right? So now let me go to that particular place. First of all, within the my HTML document, all right, I'm going to remove the previous version and I'm trying to write simple table format. First of all, how to identify the table? Table is always identified with a tag name called table. With this, if you want to divide this into multiple rows, okay, you need to go for creating row in this. If you want to divide this row into multiple columns, right, so here I need to divide the multiple columns. Every column is identified with td. So how many columns I want here? I want two columns, right? So this is what my structure is. All right, let's look at here. My structure is, it's something like this. First I need to have one table. All right, and then I'm going to have one row, because I have only one row in my requirement. I'm trying to require only one row here, and followed by a single row in this document is dividing into two columns. This is one column and this is another column. Alright, so two columns. And what you want in first column here? I want the first column in this format. I want some kind of text here, right? So how do I write a text? Text can be written in different format. I try to take some h1 tag to put the text over there. Alright, so alright, so then again, what is the next one is? Alright, so the next one is I need to have some image here. Image tag is always identified by img tag. How many properties we have? We have a source property, we have height property, right? We have a width property. We do have all the values to it, okay, and followed by we required some other one, that is something called alternate text, alt. If image is not present, it is going to display the text, nothing but if this is a primary one. If this primary one is failed, automatically it goes to second one, and a second text is going to fire here. Alright, so height, how much height you want to give? I want to give the height of this image is 150 pixel, yeah, 250 pixel. Let me take this. This is also 250 pixels. I need a source to this particular image. Where I get the source? Go to that particular folder. You already have an image in that folder, right? You can write any number of image, but I'm taking only one image. As you have a number of images in your application, you can take a different application folders here. Alright, so now is it clear now? Right, now let me save this document. Go to the file and save this document. Again you can go for save. Alright, now I'm gonna go to the browser. Previously my output is something like this. If I refresh it, right, see that where is my output is going to display right now, right? So first, as I have a requirement is left side I need a text, right side I need an image. Almost I reached to that particular place, nothing but I got the text which is on the left side, I got the image which is on the right side. But still, if you observe carefully, there is no proper alignment for this. If you want to go for that kind of proper alignment, you have to wait for some more days, 1 or 2 days time, where you will start learning about CSS to it. Start learn about CSS to it. When you start with the CSS format, you will have a proper alignment in your web pages. But as of now, if you are aligning some kind of HTML elements, table format is one of the examples to it. That is when you write the example, the output is something like this. Alright, right. So I'll give you some more examples to this. Alright, so let's see. It is pretty simple table I'm creating with a 2 rows here. Row 1, cell 1, row 2, as like this. We'll create one more simple file here. Alright, as like this. For example, I want to output something like this. How output is? Let's find out here. First of all, I'm creating simple HTML. Then I have a simple HTML to be closed here, and then I have a head part. Then I have to close the head here, and then I do have some title tag to it, right? The title tag is table example 1. Within the body part, okay, alright, so I do want this kind of thing. Alright, first how many tables I want? I want only one table now. Alright, so within the table I do require a couple of rows here, right? So I want to take 2 rows here. Row 1, this is, right, row does not have any what I can call it as any data in it. So if you want to put a data, you supposed to create compulsory. If you want to put any data within this, you need to go for creating multiple columns in it. Let's say I'm creating a simple column called 1. let's say I'm going to create one more column also. Alright, so here also I'm going to do the same thing. I'll take it as couple of columns in this. Okay, so this will be first it is row 1 and it is cell 1. Okay, and this will be again row 1, it is cell 2, nothing but single row divided into 2 columns, right? Say row 2 cell 1, again row 2 comma cell 2. Alright, so now I'm going to save this document now. Alright, so it is c2.html. alright, now save this document and go to the place where your file is got located, right click on that particular file and go to the open, and open with the browser, any browser whatever you install. See that right now I'm going to divide this into couple of rows here, right? This is row 1, this is row 2, correct? In row 1 you have a 2 columns, in row 2 also you have a 2 columns here, correct? Alright, so this is how we can look. I mean to say the output of this will be like this, correct? So as we got the same output, right? So we got the same output that we can put 2 rows and 2 columns in it. Alright, so for example, if you want to give an attribute called border attribute, right? So right now I am unable to identify where is row 1 and where is row 2, right? So for that what I want to do is I just want to give one more attribute, nothing but this is one of attribute of your table tag which give you a border attribute. Border, what it will give you, let's look at here, right? You got the border attribute now. So this will be dividing into couple of rows. See that here this is your row 1 cell 1, row 2 cell 2, row 2 cell 1, row 2 and cell 2. You can understand very easily with the attribute name called border attribute. If you apply the border attribute, that will be looks like this. Alright, so if you want to give a border attribute or something like 3 or 4, whatever you can name, let's say 4. Alright, so it becomes a little thick now. Alright, so let's open the browser and again refresh it. It becomes a little more because it's going to give you 4 rows, I mean 4 lines after this. Alright, so maybe you have a doubt that, for example, can I add one more column into first row? Yes, you can add here. Let's say I can add one more row here, that is row 1, that is now cell 3 here. Previously only 2 cells, now I'm going to add one more cell to it. Alright, so refresh your browser, right? So nothing but first row which have 3 cells, but second row will have only 3 cells, 2 cells, right? So for example, if I go for let's see, I'm trying to add 2 cells here. This is my cell 1, right? I'm going to add a couple of cells to it. So nothing but within the row 2 I'm going to give you a cell number 3. This is row 2 again, this is cell number 4. This is row number 2 again, but the cell number is 5. Okay, save this document, again go to the browser and refresh it. See that in bottom you can just see that here you have 5 columns, nothing but 5 cells here, but on top you have only 3 cells here. Alright, so what you need to understand from this example? Alright, so what you need to understand here, it's pretty simple thing you need to understand here. A table can be divided into multiple rows, right? Depends on the requirement, you can divide that into multiple rows, and depends on every row you can also divide them into multiple columns. See that in that current example we have divided a table into 2 rows. First row we are divided into 3 columns, but second column we have divided into 5 columns. Just look at here, first 3, second 5. Okay, for example, let me do one thing. I'm trying to add one more row, nothing but you are telling that you can add multiple rows into a single table, right? So I'm gonna add multiple rows, one more row to it. Okay, so I'm trying to add a couple of cells to it. Right now I'm gonna add only one cell. Yeah, let's say 2 cells I'm gonna add to this. All right, say this is row 3, this is your cell 1. All right, this is again row 3, again this is your cell 2. All right, save this document and go to the browser and refresh it. All right, so what I'm trying to do in this, I'm trying to do a table. Let's understand that the entire outer line is your table, right? Within the table, how many rows we have divided? We have divided the rows into 3. This is row 1, row 2 and row 3. And again every row you can divide it into multiple columns based on the requirement. So first row I'm divided into only 3 cells, but if you observe carefully, the second row is divided into 5 cells, right? But if you observe again the third row, it just divided only into 2 cells, not more than 2 cells. Am I very clear, guys? So just after this example, what I just want to suggest for you guys is a table of HTML element can be divided into multiple rows, and every row of HTML element, a table format, can be divided into multiple columns, nothing but multiple cells, right? So here a table element of HTML will be identified by table with open close. Same thing if you want to identify the row, we can have a tr row. And the third one is if you want to define any cell in a simple row, then we can define it as td. That is one of the cell in HTML. Okay, am I very clear, guys? Let's look at the screen again. You can have this particular thing. Alright, so if you want to give the heading to the HTML table, right? How do you give that HTML heading table? Okay, let's find out how to give that particular cell, or how to give that particular header to this HTML tab. Alright, now I'm gonna go to the table. I'm gonna create one more row here, but this row I want to make it as some headers here. Alright, headers in the sense th is one of the tag in HTML, is going to identify you something called headers in this. Okay, this is row 1. How many rows we have? We have a couple of rows here, right? So second row, or sorry, this is cell 1. It is cell 1. This is your cell 2. This is your cell number 3. Okay, alright, so you just look at here, I do have 5 cells to be defined here, right? So let me refresh the browser. So you just see that what happened here, you have every top of that cell you can have this particular thing. Alright, am I very clear, guys? So this is how you can apply the headers to the HTML table format. Okay, so every HTML table headers can be identified with a tag name called th, table header, table row, table column, or table data. Anything is fine in this. Alright, so the output is something like this. Alright, now we will learn some more new features of the same HTML elements. Okay, so first thing is we need to identify something called cell padding. Nothing but let's see here we have a space, right? We have a space here. We just want to I mean, what I want to do is I just want to stop this, right? This text has to come here. All right, I'll show you with an example. Okay, right. Cell padding specify the space between cell wall and cell content in another pixels. That is how it looks like, right? For example, this is how basically cell padding is. Your text will be displayed in this format. Okay, so if I apply the same thing to my application, right, let's see how it is going to happen, right? Cell padding is equals to, I'm giving some 10 pixels to it. Okay, save this document and refresh the browser, right? You can just see that cell padding is got increased. If you increase this to 20 pixels, based on that it is going to increase you, right? Or if you want to increase to more than, you can just give it in 40 pixels. Okay, replace it. This is your text. Right, clear now? This how it is assigned. Similar way you can have something called cell spacing also between the spaces of your pixels. Okay, so this is your padding of a pixel, and then you can have something called cell spacing also. Let's see, first I'm starting from 10 pixels, then we'll increase that. All right, refresh the browser. You can just see that the space between each and individual cell is got increased, right? So if you just look at here, I just want to increase it to 20. Please observe carefully when I refresh the browser, right? See that it is again got increased, right? If you just look at here, cell padding is different, cell spacing is different. Cell spacing is trying to make sure that increase the space between these two cells, nothing but pixel format, but cell padding is going to increase that cell sizes here, right? So that's the reason, please, you need to remember two things here. Cell padding specify the space between the cell wall and cell content, right? It is going to increase the cell wall and cell content. And the next one is specify the space between cells in a pixels, nothing but this is different and this is different. Okay, so you just see here, you have a spaces here, but you don't have a spaces here. You just increase that size of that particular pixel here. All right, understand? All right, so next, width attribute of HTML element is, okay, see that the width attribute can be used to define the width of the table. It is defined as a fixed width. It is going to define the pixels irrespective of window size. A relative table width is specified as a percentile of width viewing in windows, nothing but as I told you earlier also, this width, wherever the width is coming, you can give it in two format. Either you can give it in pixel format, or you can also give it in percentile format. Okay, so I'm trying to give one more attribute to it, that is an example as width attribute, right? Width, first I'm giving 550 pixel width. After that I'll show you, right? This is what the 550 pixel width of your HTML table format. For example, same thing, I just want to say that it is 80 percentile. Then how it is? This is how it. If I say 100%, it is going to fit to entire your browser. Correct? Understand? See that here how many rows we have? Row 1, row 2 and row 3. This is your header row, and followed by this row is divided into 3 columns here. These 2 columns are empty, so that there is a blank space. This is 5 column, there is no spaces because all 5 cells are presented. In the last row we have only 2 cells, the remaining 3 cells are not presented here. Alright, so this is everything is you can define with width format. Either you can give a width in 550 pixels, or let's say I'm going to give you 750 pixels. Alright, save this document and refresh the browser. This is 750 pixel width. If you want to make it as 1050 pixels, you can also make the 1050 pixels also. Alright, so if it is crossing your browser limit, then make it as somewhere around 950 pixels. Save the document, refresh it. This is how you can make different changes to your HTML elements. Alright, please note it down this point, the width of your HTML table format. Okay, so this is how we can able to find here. We have some more things to learn about the tabular format. I hope it's time up for the day, and we're gonna learn the next things in the next session about how to make. Let's look at the browser. There are the spaces here in this part, right? Right, there are the spaces in the first row, there are the spaces in last row, right? How do I make this? I just want to merge them. This entire thing I want to merge. This entire thing I want to merge. Okay, so for that we need to learn some more about the HTML table elements, or we need to learn about something extra part of your HTML table content. Okay, so that we'll learn in the next session. By the time hope everyone is understand about basic table format, how to create the table, how to create the row, how to create the column, and how to apply the basic properties like height, width, and cell padding as well as cell spacing to HTML element. Alright, thank you so much. Be a part of this session. By the way, I'm Anil Kumar, the trainer of APSSDC.